You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Thanks for joining me here today, once again, on our Total Wellness Tuesday show, where the topic is going to be going over 13 specific habits that have been linked to longevity and living a nice, long, healthy life. So hopefully you tuned into yesterday's show on Ikigai, which is your reason for being. And when you know your reason for being, you are more likely to live a nice, long, healthy life as well. Well, instead of just going over the mindset today, which we did yesterday on our Mindset and Motivation Monday show, we're actually going to be going over the 13 habits backed by science. So all scientifically proven. And we're going to go over that today to help you develop or strengthen the habits right now that you might already be living that will lead to a nice, long, healthy life. So that's what we all want, hopefully, is that if we can live a long life, great, but we want to live it with happiness, but we also don't want to be run down, broken down, or riddled with dis-ease in the body. So the other shows that we've done before in the past hopefully will help you to get to the root cause of any wellness, weight loss, or anti-aging issue that you're having right now. And we also want to expand upon that. So let's say right now, you are well, or you're on your way to getting well and losing the weight. What we want to do now is focus on more of those healthy lifestyle habits. So let's talk about those. Let's go over those today. I'm going to go through them one by one with you. And I always want to give credit where credit's due. So the idea, the thought behind today's actual podcast comes from an article written by Alina Petri, and she has her master's degree, and she's also a registered dietitian. I'm going to link up the article that she wrote, and you'll be able to see this, and you'll be able to click on all the individual research, because she spent quite a bit of time actually creating this article. So again, I always want to give credit where credit is due. I always name the authors. I always quote the research, especially in all the Friday reviews that we do. So this will be no different. So again, I just want to commend Alina for writing this article. Excellent work. So I'm going to give you my take, though, on each of these points. So she wrote the article, which I thought was great. We could always add more to this, but this is very concise, and I like it. And then it's also backed up. There's about 30 different studies on this page. So the first one is this. The first tip I can give you as we're going over developing healthy lifestyle habits that have been proven to increase longevity, live a nice, long, healthy life is this one. And I really like this first one. We could just go with this first one, and it's avoid overeating. I'm going to be talking about this specifically either tomorrow or next Wednesday on the podcast. So today's show is episode 1362. You can go to stephencabral.com/1362. So I believe it's next Wednesday, episode 1370, that I'll be going over a Japanese principle of one of the ways that they're able to live longer and really not deal with a lot of these bloating and food-based issues. So I'm going to go over that then, but it has to do with not overeating. Overeating is such a big thing in Western-based society simply because we have food all around us. It's so plentiful, and we have refrigeration. We have all those great things since like the 1940s, right? So when we look at that, we just have everything like it's there at our disposal. We can walk outside and go to any cafe or any convenience store and pick up food. Well, the problem is this. Is that our body was meant to eat food, stop eating for a period of time, let blood sugar rebalance, let the food move through the gastrointestinal tract, and then we eat again. Well, in many and multiple studies, the people who ate less calories overall and who ate less meals per day to a degree. We take this too far for sure. And I've mentioned that in a previous podcast. I'm not going to, I did a podcast on should you only eat 2 meals per day. You can check out that show. It gives you the pros and cons. So again, what I want to look at is this. In general, by eating less total food, we are producing less free radicals in our body, and we are also allowing for more energy to be used by the body instead of towards digestion. So less likelihood for disease, more normal body weight, and healthier and longer lifespan. Again, all of the links for the research will be linked up today, and you're welcome to go look at that in the article. The second one is this. It's an interesting one because it's not one that I really follow, but it's eat more nuts. So why would we want to eat more nuts? Well, they have lots of vitamins and minerals. They have copper and magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins like B3 and B6, vitamin E. But they've been shown to help with the major 3 causes of disease and mortality, which is heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, cancer, and a fourth, which we'll say is diabetes. So again, when we look at, and again, one study found that people consumed at least 3 servings of nuts per week had a 39% lower risk of premature death. Interesting, right? I mean, that's a great statistic. And I agree with it because there's a lot of fiber, there's a lot of good, healthy, a lot of the monounsaturated fat in nuts. A lot of my favorites are macadamia, walnuts, raw almonds are great as well, pecans. Like there's just a lot of great ones out there, right? So what I want to look at is this, though, that you can eat nuts or seeds, I would say in that. I do more with seeds. So I do some more chia seeds and flax seeds. I do sacha inchi, which is a seed as well. Very, very powerful in antioxidants as well. Sesame. But nuts are also great. They just don't work as well with my body. And also, I find people overeat them too much. So if you're going to have some nuts, make a great mid-afternoon snack, just like this said, 3 times a week, 4 times a week maybe not even every day. Or you might put a couple in your smoothie every single morning to blend them up, which is sometimes what I do. So that's a nice, easy one, and I absolutely agree with it. If you do oatmeal in the morning, you could crush some walnuts, put that right on top of your oatmeal. Really nice. If you use our whole food bars, those are loaded with sacha inchi and chia seeds. That's how I get mine predominantly as well. All right. Number 3, I liked as well. It said, try out turmeric. Now, for those people who don't know what turmeric is, it is that bright orange root-based spice. It's used in a lot of curries and Indian-based dishes, but in the supplement form, we usually see it as curcumin or curcuminoids. Now, one of the powerful things behind this is they're finding that curcumin may be protective against cancer, lung disease, heart disease, brain-based issues. Why? Well, it's a very powerful antioxidant, but it also helps with detoxification. It can help with higher levels of blood sugar to maintain better levels of blood sugar. So it's very interesting because it's not the only spice or herb I would recommend, right? I mean, there are so many. So I would say instead of just try out turmeric, try out spices, try out herbs. When we look at turmeric, we can also talk about ginger. That's another amazing one, right? For blood sugar, for digestive system. Other great ones, and I'm going to be talking about this more in 2020, where we start to come out with our anti-aging baseline. Products that I'm already using right now. Astragalus, talking about things like, well, I'll save those, but curcumin is certainly one of them. Other great ones, though, would be like an Indian frankincense, a boswellia. Those are all absolutely fantastic. So we know that these powerful antioxidant-based spices, plant-based herbs, can be tremendous for, again, using their powers to work for fighting certain types of cancer and age-related disease. Number 4 is this. Eat plenty of healthy plant foods. Well, we talk about this every week on the Cabral Concept. Huge believers because, people are trying to force diets to work. They're trying to force keto to work. They're trying to force a carnivore diet to work. And again, all of them can work in short periods of time. And I have no problem with that. I really don't. What I have a problem with is trying to extrapolate that data over a lifetime. And over a lifetime, you need to get your gut working in a healthy, proper fashion in order to be able to eat 7 to 9 servings of fruits and veggies every single day. You need to eat that rainbow. I believe it's actually tomorrow our free functional medicine detox course comes out. And I show people what a sample healthy day looks like. And you just see all these brightly colored foods. If you look down at your plate of food or your smoothie or whatever it is, and it's not brightly colored, something's missing. It really is. Because the research shows the vitamins and minerals you get, the antioxidants, the flavonoids, the bioflavonoids that you get can only come from these plant-based foods. And yes, I don't know if I'm going to go into this today. Omega-3s and all those things do matter. You can get them from fish, you can get them from sea-based vegetables, but you can get them from nuts. Really, really important that you are getting in a predominantly plant-based diet. So again, we're not eating too much. Turmeric is plant-based, but you're getting a lot of these plant-based diets. And you can just look at, there's, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's like 12 studies just in this one little paragraph alone. And this is one of the reasons why. It helps, again, with the major causes of mortality: cancer, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, and diabetes-related issues as well. So I can't recommend that enough. Check out my podcast I did previously called The Foundation of All Diets. You can also check out the podcast of why you should eat a rainbow of colorful foods, because each different color in plant-based foods does something different for the body. That's the amazing power of nature. It already knows how to heal. Number 5 is this: stay physically active. Well, that makes sense, right? Stay physically active, but we don't always do it. So it shows that as few as 15 minutes of exercise per day can help achieve benefits that may lead to an additional 3 years of life. Pretty remarkable, right? How can we live longer? Simply doing 15 minutes of exercise a day. But over the course of the week, it adds up, right? That's over 100 minutes of exercise per week. We know that we want to shoot for 150 minutes per week, but 15 minutes per day, well, what if we were to shift that to 20 minutes a day? Now we're basically at that 115 minutes, right? 150. We're at 140 for the week. That's it. We try to get in our 10,000 steps per day. We try to do some nice moderate-based exercise. And it shows that your risk of premature death may decrease by 4% for each additional 15 minutes of daily physical activity. To me, that's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Also, we're looking at this. Those that worked out less than the 150 minutes per week, but still got their 15 minutes in, had a 22% lower risk of early death. Remarkable. But again, shoot for 150 minutes for the week, and it's only, 22 minutes or so per day. That's it. Now, again, you can get your 10,000 steps a day, and you can do what we've been talking a lot lately on the Training Thursday shows, is simply getting in 40 minutes 4 days a week. Easy way to do it. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pick a weekend day. That's it. That's the best way to do it. Or 30 minutes, 5 days a week, so that you don't have to worry about every single day. Now, again, you can make it part of your healthy routine. Great. But you can also make it a little easier on yourself to reach that 150 minutes a week. All right. This is one of the big ones. I've talked about it before. One of the fastest ways to lower your lifespan and longevity is to smoke. It's to inhale any type of smoke into your lungs. And yes, that includes vaping, and yes, it includes marijuana, and yes, it includes cigarette smoke. Okay, it's worse with cigarettes, and it's worse with a lot of these vaping-based oils because there's so many chemicals and so many artificial flavors added to them for those aromas and tastes that they're extremely harmful. Why? You breathe a carcinogen, which is smoke, directly into your lungs, and that goes directly then into your bloodstream. Now your liver has to detox that, and it's a natural oxidant. It oxidizes the body. So here's the thing. People who smoke may lose up to 10 years of their life and be 3 times more likely to die prematurely than those who have never picked up a cigarette. And you also want to keep in mind that whenever you quit smoking, it can prolong your life by another 8.5 years. That's a great study to look at, right? It says this: quitting smoking in your 60s may add up to almost another 4 years of life. And quitting in your 80s can still provide benefits. It is never too late to quit smoking. Cut down on your chances for cancer, heart disease, stroke by stopping smoking today. Okay. Next up is this. Moderate your alcohol along the same lines. A lot of people love alcohol. There's no doubt about it. Why? Well, when they drink, sometimes they let more of their inhibitions go. They relax more. They de-stress. They're out with friends, whatever it might be. Those are all great things. In the blue zones, a lot of those cultures drank alcohol as well. The difference was they didn't drink to excess. They didn't drink enough to have a hangover the next day. They might have a drink or two a few nights a week, but not nightly drinking to the point where they would pass out from drinking alcohol, right? That is not the way that we want to abuse this substance. So ideally, and again, I know a lot of the studies, there are studies that show 1 or 2 drinks a day. There are studies that show that would lower chances for certain types of heart disease. The problem is, if you don't know your ApoE genotype, it's going to backfire on 26% of the population with an ApoE genotype that contains a 4 allele. Okay? So it'd be okay for a 2 or 3 allele. It would actually potentially raise their HDL a little bit, lower the LDL, but it actually would do the reverse in someone with that 4 allele. It would raise bad cholesterol, the LDL, and lower good cholesterol. So we don't want that, right? And here's the thing, an important note, that there's no strong research that indicates that the benefits of moderate drinking are greater than those from abstaining from alcohol. So in other words, and I'm quoting right now, there's no need to start drinking if you don't usually consume alcohol. That's my biggest thing for people. If you are tired, you have brain fog, you have joint pain, you're currently dealing with some type of dis-ease of the body, or weight loss issues, meaning you can't lose weight, or you feel your body rapidly aging, stop drinking. That's it. Now, again, you can go back to it. So I stopped drinking for a huge period of my life. I did a whole podcast on this with Melissa Ambrosini. Stopped drinking for a huge period of my life. It was not serving me when I was trying to get well. So around the age of, let's say, 25 or so, I still wasn't better. I was getting better, but I still wasn't better. So I essentially had to say, I can't go out and drink. Like, that's such a big part of my life. Not, every night, but like Friday night, Saturday night, to be out with my buddies, all my friends. I had to start to wean that. And then I just said, you know what? I'm not going to drink alcohol till I'm better. That's it. I said, my main focus right now is on my health. And I tell that to people. You can go back to it. You can go back to a lot of things once you're well. Now, for me now, it's when I choose to, and it's not weekly. It's sometimes once or twice a month, sometimes none. It depends who I'm out with and if I want to and if I choose to. And great, then I will. And it's never more than 1 to 2 drinks. Now, that might not be the right lifestyle for you. And I get it. And I understand. I'm not here to judge, that's for sure. Because I simply wouldn't want to be judged. So I don't judge others. It's a nice way to live. It's an easy way to live. And I'm not here to tell you right from wrong. Whatever you feel is best for you. But what I can tell you from the health research is this. At least don't drink more than 1 glass to 2 glasses maximum. And that's 6 ounces of red wine, 1 ounce and a half of hard alcohol, or 8 ounces of a beer. Now, that's one, right? Most of the research is around red wine because there's more polyphenols, there's more antioxidants in that. So if you're going to drink more of a red wine, unless you have issues with red wine, of course, and a lot of people do with histamines and all sorts of gut-based issues, but at least that's one way to look at it. So again, I'm going to let you use your best judgment. I've read research before that over 3 drinks per week, greater chance for cancer, certainly no more than about 7 units, as they call it, per week. All right. Number 8 is this, prioritizing happiness. Interesting. Again, I talked about this yesterday with Ikigai, your reason for being. But happier individuals had a 3.7% reduction in early death over a 5-year study. That's a pretty long study. So those who felt happiness at 22 years of age were 2.5 times more likely to still be alive 60 years later. Interesting stat as well. It's 82 years old, right? A review of 35 studies showed that happy people may live up to 18% longer than less happy individuals. Well, that's about a decade. That's a long time, right? If the average lifespan is somewhere around, let's just say 75, it's 74 to 77. It actually went down for the first time in history. I spoke about that on a previous podcast, which is pretty sad. We have all this technology, and yet people are not even living as long. So let's say that that 7.5, yeah, it's about a decade longer. Amazing, right? So let's do things like we talked about on yesterday's podcast to increase our overall happiness. More of the things that we love, less of the things that we don't. Controlling only what we can control. Letting go what we can't control. That's part of number 9, avoiding chronic stress and anxiety, right? And so multiple studies, stress can increase any cause of disease. Why? It begins to lower the immune system. It begins to artificially elevate blood sugar. It causes more inflammation. It can create brain-based dis-ease in the body, trying to, again, avoid as much chronic stress in your life as possible. Try to resolve the issues you're having with career, with family, with your body, with your wellness, with your partner, whoever it might be. Trying your best so that you have less anxiety and overwhelm in life. And we have podcasts on all of these individual topics. Today is episode 1362. But again, you can go to stephencabral.com/podcast and review all these previous podcasts on any topic that you could really imagine. Number 10 is this: nurture your social circle. I really like this because it's something that I'm trying to be more conscious of. I mean, it's so hard. If you have a busy job and you have a family and, again, your job could be whatever it might be. It might be taking care of your family. Your job could be your job could be anything, right? So, but if you are super busy and that requires a lot of time, and you have children and you have your spouse and maybe you have family you're trying to take care of, it's difficult to always nurture, as they say, that social circle. But it shows that people having just 3 social ties may decrease your risk of an early death by more than 200%. Pretty fantastic. And a lot of people who maintain healthy social networks can help you live up to 50% longer. So when we look at these things, we say, okay, well, this is something that all the Blue Zones did. They had community. So are there any people in your community or that you can create in your own life that would be a great person for you, even just once a month, to go out and have dinner with, to go out and grab a coffee with, a tea with, to have lunch with, to really try to nurture other relationships outside of your family that you can have a laugh with, that you can enjoy with, that you can maybe get some things off your chest, right? That you can explain whatever it is. Now, it shouldn't be just a therapy session, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either. But you want to be able to enjoy spending time with that person. And let's move into that next one, which is, as we talk about, maybe go out with friends for a coffee or a tea. Coffee and tea, any of these things that are higher in catechins and polyphenols can help to decrease cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. So we've talked about this in the past. We talked about all of these powerful plant-based antioxidants. Well, it so happens that coffee, tea, and even a lot of these spices that we chatted about are very concentrated forms of that. Olive oil is another one. So when we look at that, we can see that we have the potential benefit of lowering early risk by 20 to 30% by having some coffee or tea on a daily basis. Probably the healthiest one that I've recommended before is a green tea, an organic green tea, one that's been tested for metals and potentially mold. And that is a nice green matcha tea, would be even more concentrated. And if you're drinking coffee, go organic. You don't need all those pesticides and sprays. Go for an organic. And if you're doing decaf, like I do a lot of the time, go for a organic Swiss water processed one. And that will be tremendous in helping you get more antioxidants and also good for the brain as well. So really simple. Again, you don't want to go overboard. You don't want to go overboard with the caffeine as well. But if you don't get anxiety, if your heart rate doesn't speed up, if it doesn't spike blood sugar, certainly you could do some caffeine. You could do a little bit of coffee earlier in the day, before 1 p.m., before noon, okay? And I've done many shows on that. Who's right for caffeine and who isn't, because it's not right for everyone. But you could certainly do more of the green tea, which is going to have more of those polyphenols and antioxidants as well. All right, number 12 is this: be more conscientious. So what we want to do is, and if you don't know what conscientious means, it's really being organized, efficient, goal-centered, thinking about the world around you, others at large. And when you're doing that, you're typically feeling more in control of your life. And you're thinking more about others. It's not just about you. So you're reducing stress. That's what it's all about. So that's a really big one. And our last one for today is this: you want to create a healthy sleeping pattern. And I went over how much sleep you need, what time to go to bed, all of those different things. And I'm going to get you that podcast. For some reason, episode 1300 is standing out in my mind. Let's see if it is episode 1300. Nope, 1300 is the exact time to drink water during the day. To see how much sleep that you actually need, that is episode 1320. The truth behind how much sleep you need per night, and this goes for children too. So I'll give you the basis of that, but hopefully you listen to that episode, is that If you sleep less than 7 hours per night, because we don't know who it is per individual, but definitely less than 5 to 6, there's a 12% greater risk of an early death. And the same goes for those people who slept more than 9 hours per night. So there's a sweet spot in the middle, and I talk about that. Who should get 8 to 9 hours, who should get 7 to 8, and who should get really around the 7 hours. I talk about the different body types and what is right for each individual. So that was episode 1320. But really, everyone should be getting between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night. There's definitely cases you can make for getting more for a period of time to improve your rejuvenation and health, but you wouldn't want to do it for a lifetime, okay? So between 7 and 9 hours, lots and lots of research behind lowering blood pressure, regulating blood sugar to a greater degree, reducing stress, rejuvenating the body, improving telomere length. So hopefully today's podcast has been helpful. 13 healthy habits that you can start to incorporate if you haven't already into your life so that you can live a longer, healthier, happier life, which is really what it's all about. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it can serve. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.